Good afternoon. I am Roy Priest, the Chair of the Housing Opportunities Commission. I want to welcome you to our May 8th, 2024 monthly meeting. Joining me today are Commissioners to my right, Fran Kelleher, to my left, Robert Solomon, Chair Pro Tem, and Linda Kroon. We are also joined virtually by Commissioner Pamela Byrd. The Vice Chair of the Commission, Jeffrey Merkowitz, is excused absence today. He will not be present. And so we will proceed with a quorum for the meeting. We will start, the first item on the agenda is being community forum. Has anyone asked to speak during the community forum?
Yes, I believe you have two speakers that have signed up. The first is Amy Millar.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Amy Millar. I'm with UFCW Local 1994 McGeo, the union. Okay, the union that represents proudly the staff at HOC. In a minute, we're going to present a petition and some other information, but while I'm speaking, I want to hone in on a couple of issues in more depth. And the first one is contract negotiations. I think there's been some misinformation out there, but to begin with, despite soaring inflation, our hardworking staff have not received a raise, not increments, not a COLA at all this fiscal year. At the commission meeting in February, some points about negotiations were raised, and I think, again, some of this was misinformation. The union never walked out of negotiations. Our team showed up in December, just before the commission went on break. Management did not show up to that bargaining. We scheduled mediation on January 18th. Management did not want to meet in person. Our team was present, and we were shocked when, at the end of the normal work day, early in the evening, that management said they were done for the day. Generally, when we're in mediation, we bargain all night. We bargain until we come out with a negotiated agreement, and that was our intention. That was not management's intention. Since management refused to go late, we asked to continue the next day. They were not available. They did not make themselves available. We came back for another date of mediation on February 5th. Our bargaining team met in person. Management, we had to communicate with through the mediator simply via email. We did receive a counter at the end of the day at 5:30, and we're advised that management had wrapped up for the night. Again, we were there ready to bargain. The union bargaining team then said, okay, met again in the morning and quickly sent a counter at 10:20 a.m. We heard nothing back the rest of the day. The next day, February 7th, we did not receive a counter from management. We reached out to the mediator. She did not know when management might come up with a counter. We checked back in on February 8th. Nothing. Asked the mediator, hey, have you heard? Do we have any indication if management intends to respond? Nope, sorry. Finally, on February 9th, having still not received a counter from management at 1:38, again, 7 months into the time when we should have been in a new contract, I sent an email saying, good morning. At this point, we need to select an arbitration panel and schedule dates. Our counsel is reviewing the law and available arbitrators. And we scheduled a time on Monday to discuss dates and the arbitration panel. Nowhere in that communication did we say that we were refusing to bargain. The ball has been in management's court since February 6th at 10:20 a.m. We've never said we're at an impasse. We never said that's the last, best, and final offer. Those are all terms that are of import in negotiation. Management may talk about the 100 and whatnot proposals that we've gone through. We did get through a lot in bargaining. What they didn't mention is that a large chunk of those proposals were take-backs from management. And I bargained contracts with Montgomery County government, with Prince George's County Libraries and with other employers. And we've never seen that level of proposed takebacks from them. And it's really shameful. Again, this is at a time when staff are hard to recruit, hard to retain. Turnover is through the roof and there's vacancies all over the place. And, you know, I got to tell you, it's beginning to occur, not only that HOC does not properly value its workers, is that perhaps this is the push toward privatization. Because we are beginning to see that already. That was the second issue that I wanted to speak a little bit more in depth. We've learned that HOC intends and is in fact in the process of outsourcing maintenance of HOC properties to a third party for-profit company, Edgewood. Edgewood happens to be the same company that the former HOC executive director, Mr. Spann, went to work for directly after leaving HOC. Violation of ethics rules, huge violation, but here we have it, and we're still moving forward with it. Now, Edgewood operates a pretty revolving door of property managers. They are in and out, and there's numerous complaints about.
Excuse me, Ms. McAleer. There is a time given for this. How much more time do you need to finish this?
About 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Okay. Maintenance techs are in short supply. That's a hard area to recruit from. And so it should truly ring alarm bells that not only does Edgewood not have staff onboarded and trained, they are actually reaching out at various properties to our trades maintenance workers saying, hey, would you like a job with us? They don't have it ready to go. And this should alarm the commissioners. Again, I understand that the positions on this commission are volunteer positions, and we ask a lot of you, and the community asks a lot of you in a volunteer capacity. But HOC is a critical agency that so many in our community rely on, and we truly need that extra level of oversight and scrutiny. And we really are asking for your intervention on these issues. And again, to be very clear, on bargaining, because this is ongoing, the union gave the last proposals. We remain ready to entertain any proposal that HOC brings forward to continue negotiation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another speaker?
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Lisa Blackwell Brown, Secretary Treasurer from the DO Local 1994. I'm speaking on behalf of President Dina Wren today. Today, I'm presenting this petition signed by the overwhelming majority of HOC union employees. The staff at the HOC have been the driving force of its accolades and accomplishments through the years, but we do not receive respect and recognition from management of our hard work. Staff turnover is rampant and morale is low. As Amy mentioned, 15% of frontline positions are vacant, and the commission loses upwards of 40 employees annually. Say that again, 40 employees annually. For example, as of late February, 8 housing specialist positions are vacant. 1 position has been vacant for over a year. 4 positions have been vacant for over 6 months. 12 trade maintenance positions are vacant. 1 trade maintenance worker position has been vacant for nearly 600 days. 3 have been vacant for over a year, and 3 more have been vacant for over 9 months. Management has rejected efforts by our union to address these concerns collaboratively. They have refused numerous union requests and joint climate studies. While frontline positions remain unfilled, executive staff has increased by 75%, and executive costs have increased by 97% since 2018. While frontline workers are struggling to get by without wage increases, the executive director received a $19,500 bonus on top of a $315,000 salary. And the new VP of Human Resources received a $5,000 bonus on top of a salary of $210,000, despite being with the commission for less than a year. The senior VP of Legal Affairs has a salary of $215,000 and received a $38,730 bonus. But despite highly compensated human resources and in-house legal teams, the commission employs outside legal counsel at all levels of negotiation and labor relations. Outsourcing to third parties goes beyond attorneys. Management is moving to hand over maintenance of HOC properties to third-party companies and displace dedicated live on trades and maintenance workers. In the 2023 CAFR message, Chelsea Andrews stated that HOC has struggled to recruit and retain the highest quality employees due to competition, primarily from the public sector. Despite this, there has been no urgency. There has been no urgency to provide hardworking staff with the raises that we deserve. We have been in negotiations since May for a contract that was supposed to go into effect on July 1st, 2023. And despite testimony to the contrary, it is management who failed to respond to union proposals and then chose to walk away from mediation. You are presented with pretty pictures during the commission meetings each month, but the reality is much more dire. If you scratch beneath the surface, you will see the reality experienced by struggling frontline employees. We have done the best that we can despite growing workloads, short staffing, and low wages. In some divisions, management uses scare tactics and intimidation to direct our work. We are at our breaking point. We ask that you, commissioners, direct this administration to foster a positive and productive labor relations environment, to work with our union on joint climate studies and implement the changes necessary to improve morale and to negotiate a collective bargaining agreement that recognizes the value of your employees. You have the opportunity to stand and do something right by the people that make the commission run. I encourage you strongly to do so. If I can present the petition to the commission.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's for your time.
I really want to acknowledge and thank you for your remarks. And the commission takes your comments very seriously. We did from the first time we heard them in February. We've continued to work along with our staff as relates to addressing the points you have raised. We have been engaged and we will remain engaged in alignment with our president throughout this negotiation process. We have been kept abreast regularly of both areas of progress as well as areas of disagreement with McGeo. So we are clearly aware of what the issues are, and we are in fact being constantly kept abreast by our president of what's going on. I will now turn to President Andrews to address any remarks that you may have.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, Mr. Chair, members of the public, and the HLC team. Of course, every time I have an opportunity to hear from staff, I take what I hear seriously and have an opportunity to reflect. This is the first time, and this is not scripted remarks, the absolute first time that I'm hearing that there was a disconnect between our mediator and both sides. It is not our intention to not negotiate with the union. And because I'm just hearing this information, possibly this could be easily resolved. It appears as though my comments, which were crafted, was focused on hoping that we can just get back to discussing mediation and getting to a conclusion with our negotiations. There is a process that we all have to follow in union relations. There are certain things that I am able to say and the commission is able to say in the public, and other things that we are not. The union's represented by leadership. We have been working through a mediator and ultimately followed the next steps in our agreed upon process. But it does sound to me as though there's an overarching position from the union that they would like to continue mediation. I just want to indicate that it is extraordinarily difficult to improve any work environment when there is distinction and distrust and challenges between the union and staff. It is our desire as an agency, it is truly my desire as a leader, for us to work towards creating an environment where our employees enjoy being here, creating an environment where we have the best place to work, we're excelling as an agency. That's what's reflected in our strategic plan. That's what we will hold to in terms of implementation. And immediately following this meeting, we will take steps. And if leadership is still here or not, I will speak with them directly. I've not had a direct conversation with the union leadership, but I'm willing to do so, especially at this stage, that it appears as though there may be some other underlying miscommunication. So my hope is that we can work together, bring our agency together so that we can focus on what's really important, which is the mission and the reason why we're all here. Thank you.
Thank you. We will pursue this matter further, and maybe the result would be that we don't have to have this conversation at our next meeting.
That
So
would be
thank you
great.
very much. I will now proceed with our agenda. The next item on the agenda is the report from the president.
Yes, thank you. Commissioners, I'm pleased to share an update in regards to our undertakings in the month of April. Next slide. This month will highlight Fair Housing Month. We had an awesome event, Bring Your Child to Work Day, HOC in the news, some legislative updates, highlights from our Resident Services Division, updates from our Housing Resource Division, and our real estate development updates. Next slide. In the month of April, which is Fair Housing Month, we highlighted the fact that we are supportive of all steps to uphold the Fair Housing Act. We shared with employees how we do that on a daily basis, but also had information available in terms of how to support our endeavors and celebration in that month. We're also excited to gear up for our Inspire celebration, which will take place on November 21st. This is an opportunity to celebrate the fact that HOC is celebrating 50 years and our nonprofit celebrating 25 years of giving back to our county. Next slide. These are some beautiful photos of our staff and their children participating in Bring Your Child to Work Day or Bring Your Child to Work Day. We had, I think, 54 children in this sport room and in participating in this event. Students from elementary, middle, and high school participated, and it was a wonderful outcome. Next slide. We also were featured in the Dezeen online magazine. They highlighted our novel public development strategy, as well as we were in an installment of their publications called Social Housing Revel series. Thank you. Next slide. Resident services, there are many updates in regards to resident services, and considering the number of items we'll cover today, I'm going to try to be brief, but you see beautiful photos from our cider mill out of school program, Safe Zones program. Next slide. Our legislative update also includes a beautiful photo of our support of legislation that was passed that Governor Moore signed. He signed two bills. One is in regards to HB 7, which you all are very familiar with. This provides up to $5 million in loans annually to local housing. And HB 424, which is a bill that was proposed to help streamline our process here in Montgomery County. Next slide. You see photos related to our youth enrichment series and a highlight and spotlight on the various programs that we have across the portfolio. Next slide. We also have programs going on at Tanglewood Apartments. You see this piano lessons that are provided complimentary of Tacey Foundation, and our students truly enjoy that benefit. Next slide. And highlighting a couple of different social events that took place, the ice cream social that we had at Tanglewood Apartments. Next slide. You see that we had various engagements with our seniors and our residents at Cider Mill, as well as Spring Garden, where we're helping our seniors get into the Recreation Assistance Program with the county. Next slide. And additional information related to different ice cream socials and bingo across the portfolio. Next slide. Again, more and more events, including the solar eclipse event. Next slide. There was a Chromebook distribution at Willow Manor and many other activities at both Arcola and Waverly. Next slide. Our Forest Oak Towers residents had an opportunity to play bingo. You see that we're teaching technology skills there as well. Next slide. Again, there's Tacey Foundation, who in addition to supporting our residents at Tanglewood, put on a musical event at Waverly House for our seniors and also participated in a bingo event. Next slide. There was a bone builders exercise. So there's a lot of focus on the health of our seniors across the portfolio. Next slide. Speaking of which, you see multiple events highlighted here in terms of health and wellness activities and all of the programming that we're able to provide with our partners. Next slide. That includes food assistance, and we've highlighted the many nonprofits that help provide our seniors and our residents with resources. Next slide. And a spotlight on our HOC Academy and the great work that they do to provide resources to our students. Next slide. We continue with financial literacy, and we provide this resource to individuals that are in our programs as well as on our waiting list, and encourage everyone to go to our website, hocmc.org, if you are interested in participating in this free resource. Next slide. For our Resident Services Supportive Services Program, we served 342 participants in April, and we also provided support to 284 residents with the Rent Supplement Program. Next slide. We had 12 graduates from our Fatherhood Initiative program in April and enrolled 16. Next slide. And our HCV program continues to maintain a 98% utilization. We did not have any requests for extensions of time to search. Next slide. We are continuing to advocate for the Rent Cafe program. That is the online resource, and we have here information in regards to how many people utilized it. We also have 69 residents, or excuse me, customers that were recommended for termination. However, next slide, there are only 22 that are being advanced, and we will continue to work with those individuals who we are able to contact. There are 16 who we will continue to try to reach out to. And that's with the support of our resident services counselors. Next slide. With regards to our emergency housing voucher, we have reached our cumulative total. We were reporting on this on an ongoing basis. Because of the program, we're not able to continue to expand it. And so I just wanted to spotlight the fact that we've reached our capacity with the emergency housing vouchers. We will no longer report on this, but we are very pleased with our success and our partnership with the county to administer those vouchers. Thank you. Next slide. Our family self-sufficiency program has 355 participants. There was one graduate that actually saw an income increase of close to $23,000. Next slide. And we're really excited to be a finalist for the Ivory Prize. This is a very prestigious honor, and we're one of the top 10 finalists. We're anxiously awaiting an announcement on May 16th in hopes that we're the winner, but we are definitely pleased and honored to be one of the top 10 that have been advanced. And with that, I conclude my president's report and open for any comments or questions.
Are there any questions from commissioners? Any questions? Another question, just the senior feeding programs you all do. I've been having some conversations recently and aware of this problem of hunger and feeding becoming really more and more prominent in our community, and especially among school-age children. I've talked to a number of educators recently who said that the process of teaching has been impacted by two things. One, cell phones, an article a day about that. And secondly, by the lack of people getting proper nutrition who are coming to school. And as we get ready to approach the summer coming, and many of the kids who are no longer able to get the food supplement programs to the school, I hope we will take a look at what we can do for those students who are in our properties where there may be a problem. And there may be talking to the school system and identifying and finding a way we can continue to connect that program, because it is really essential, and good health is really important. So that's the comment. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Commissioners Exchange. Are there any items under that for the Commissioners Exchange? I just want to make one mention is that we will be doing a canvassing for the commissioners on finding some vacant days when we can convene a meeting in the evening, when we can have discussion with our president around administration and some operational issues. So, but you'll be getting information about that, okay? Next, we'll turn, I'm not sure that I see Mrs. Washington here, but I don't see Mr. Panchuk here. Okay, well, we will simply come back to you all at an appropriate point in the agenda, okay? Thank you. We'll move to the next item, which is the approval of the minutes. We have minutes for the April 3rd open session and also for the April 3rd, 2024 closed session. Can I get a motion to approve these minutes?
Motion to.
Second? It's been probably moved and second to approve the minutes of April 3rd open and closed session. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. So ordered. We'll move next to our consent item, which is a single-family lending, approval of new participating lenders for our single-family mortgage purchase program. Can I get a motion to approve this consent item?
Commissioner Byrd, so moved.
It's been probably moved and seconded that we approve this consent item. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. So ordered. We will now turn to our committee reports. The first report comes from our Development Finance Committee. Chairman Merkowitz is not present today for the meeting, so I will proceed to help facilitate this portion of the agenda. The first item on the agenda for the Development Finance Committee is our single-family mortgage lending, which is the approval of structured cost of issuance budget and adoption of a series resolution for the issuance of single-family mortgage revenue bonds for the single-family mortgage purchase program. I will turn to Commissioner Andrews for further comment.
Right, thank you. This is a matter that's coming before the commission because we are ready to administer more mortgages. We are really seeing a great success with our single family mortgage program. And really at this time where interest rates are high, the need is great. And so we have gotten to a point where we really do need more resources to continue to provide mortgages. And I will turn it over to our Vice President of Mortgage Finance, Michael Somerville, to provide this overview.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Michael Somerville, Vice President of Mortgage Finance. I'm requesting Commission approval for the structured cost issuance budget and adoption of the series resolutions necessary for the single-family mortgage revenue bond. The Development and Finance Committee has considered this item at its meeting on April 29th, and it supports our staff's recommendation for approval. If we can advance right there, yes. The single-family mortgage purchase program was created in 1979. The Commission has issued multiple series of bonds under the single-family mortgage revenue bond resolution, the 1979 indenture, to provide low interest rate mortgages to first-time home buyers, which the proposed bond issuance will be issued under. The Commission has also issued bonds under the single-family housing revenue bond resolution 2009, the 2009 indenture, as well as the 2019 indenture. I would like to highlight the success of the bond issue from 2023, as our Director, Ms. Andrews, has indicated, which was issued last June in an amount of $40 million, of which all funds have either been reserved or dispersed at this time. If we can advance to page 5, please. As you can see, the composition under the Series A, which is the tax-exempt private piece, is $17 million. $2 million of that is to repay $1 million in outstanding under our PNC line of credit for reimbursements, as well as other reimbursements and redemptions that we believe will occur between now and July 1st. The next, which leaves $15 million in new money, which will go toward the funding of additional loans. The Series B, which is the taxable portion, is 18 million, which is designed to also support the issuance of new mortgages. As we indicate, there's an issuance up to 35 million, the tax exempt portion and the taxable portions there, and with a maturity date of 2055. Please note that that last bullet point, the numbers are incorrect, so please refer to the chart above. So if we can turn to page 6, please. So on this page, we wanted to just point out that the funds will facilitate approximately 116 loans to be financed.
Somebody is celebrating the fact it's been successful.
Well, if they're taking them home tonight, well, hopefully it's one of the 160 loans that we have financed. And we do have sufficient capitalization under our volume cap for the proposed issuance. We could turn to page 7, please. And this is our cost of issuance budget. See, it's approximately $570,000, which is in line with issuances of this size. We've seen a little bit of increase, but this is appropriate for the market. So we're hoping, and then these funds will be paid back through revenues generated under the indenture. Next page, please. Again, we'll issue 2 resolutions under this. One is the resolution for the commission. The other one is the series resolution, which relates to the actual issuance of the bonds. Next page, please. Here, I just wanted to highlight that we are planning the bond sale. It's targeted for May 21st, with the actual closing of the bonds targeted for June 18th. Next slide, please. And then here's just a highlight of the program. Through fiscal year, through March, we have issued and closed 134 loans with an average mortgage balance of almost $290,000. So as you can see, the average purchase price, roughly 3.25, and the average income for these families is roughly $89,800. One of the questions that came out during the Development Finance Committee meeting was a request to understand the geographic kind of dispersal of the loans we've issued to date. And my colleague, Paulette Dudley, has some information on that.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Just as a brief, for the 134 loans that have settled since through March 30, in the Upper County region, which covers between Clarksburg all the way down to Gaithersburg, there have been 80 loans that have been done in the Upper County area. In the Mid to Lower County area, which is Rockville into Bethesda, into Silver Spring, etc., there have been 54 loans that have been settled in those properties. So it's so there is a the loans are spread out through over the county. They're not specifically in certain areas, and that is a good thing for our program.
Thank you, Paulette. If we could turn to page 12. So what we're asking, the staff is asking the commission to support the recommendation of the Development Finance Committee for the following action. Approve the structure and issuance of 2024 bonds under the 1979 Mortgage Revenue Bond Resolution in the amount not to exceed $35 million in aggregate. Approve the allocation of up to $15 million for private activity volume cap to complete the transaction proposed. Approve the cost of issuance budget estimated at approximately $570,000 to be funded through the single family program. And approve the adoption of the one or more series resolutions authorizing the issuance of these bonds. That concludes my comments, and I open it up for any questions.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Thank you.
So can we get a motion to approve resolution 24-33A and resolution 33B, correct? It's been probably moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Thank you. Continue to do the good work on that program. I will now go back on the agenda, back to the report of the Resident Advisory Board. I know that Ms. Washington and Mr. Pinchek like to sit here through our meeting, but just allow them the freedom to go when they want to. I will ask them now to come forward for their presentation.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
to be in front of you again. We want to give you an update. Mr. Peckman, Mr. Adam and I want to give you an update of our last meeting. We were met with Ms. Chelsea and Mr. Silverman. It's always a pleasure to be in the presence of Mr. Silverman because he gives knowledge that I never thought ever being placed or put with HOC. So that financial knowledge and the grouping knowledge of trying to figure out what a 5-year plan was came together at the last meeting. I found out that it's different from being, I don't know if y'all know that I spoke before I don't mean to waste your time either, but I did a testimony before the county council. And I found out that advocacy and advisory are very different. I'm very comfortable to advocate, and I'm learning in the last 6 months how to advise. So please bear with me. But we learned a lot as far as the different properties that are being established within the program, the 5-year program. It taught us a lot of what's being developed, what's available, and what will be available. We also found out about the agricultural part of the makeup of HOC. And that was good to know because that was something that was very interesting to us, the property that's there and what it will be used for later. We also know that hopefully these properties will be available within that 5-year plan for those families who are in need of housing. I'm sorry. And we also had the opportunity to I get stuck. Speak with Ms. Chelsea, the president, on some issues that we had concerns on, especially about the third party property contracting and all. We haven't gotten back to a lot of things that we have already presented, questions, things of that nature. We haven't gotten a response back from the compliance when we would like to hear from them. So we hoping that when we resume back in September, a lot of that stuff will be addressed also. So, we had the opportunity to get our pictures taken, get photographed, and that was really nice. I want to say in the last 6 months, and then I'm going to turn it over to Adam. In the last 6 months, I've learned a lot, and we're still looking forward to any of y'all that would like. After our last meeting will resume and will end in June. You're welcome to come and visit us. I'm ready to learn whatever there is advice you could give. But as of this point, I'm still studying the 5-year program, the 5-year plan. I'm still trying to understand the financial part of what HOC is. And I'm trying to put it all together with those in the programs at hand, the fatherhood program, the self-sufficiency programs and those things. So when I come before you next time, I'll have a better insight of how to advise. So thank you for this opportunity, and I'll give it to Adam.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Pinchuk, Vice President of the Resident Advisory Board. I would like to start off by echoing what President Washington said. We are really grateful for Mr. Silverman and for President Andrews for giving up their time to meet with us last month. It was very informative, and we had a really good discussion about the 5-year plan and some other issues as well. We did submit our recommendations in writing regarding the third-party property management companies and some of the issues that were raised after we met with Mr. Ozair. And I heard back that President Andrews and Mr. Ozair, Vice President Ozair, would be reviewing our recommendations, and they would be getting back to us. So we look forward to hearing from both of them. And we appreciate their time and their consideration for that. Finally, I would like to say that after providing written notice and an opportunity to reply, which we did not hear a response, the board had to make the decision to remove one of its members. This member had not been in attendance since October of 2023. And while we didn't take this decision lightly, we felt it was very important that in order for the board to be effective, we need everyone to be present and engaged. And unfortunately, that was not the case with this particular member. We will be working with Ms. Blackman and Ms. Harris at our next meeting to update and revise the bylaws so that we can find a replacement as quickly as possible. And those are the end of my comments. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your.
We thank you all very much as well for taking the time to be learning and at the same time trying to apply that to the roles you all do in terms of advocating on behalf of the residents, but it's also giving them good advice. So we want to thank you very much for that. Do any of the commissioners have a question?
No, but the comment, your thoughts on third-party management, you're the closest people to the property managers. So good, bad, indifferent. I find that information very useful. I'm sure staff would too.
Thank you, sir.
So yeah, please let us know.
Thank you.
You have no other questions? Thank you all very much. We look forward to seeing you all next month. We will now move back to the agenda, which is under the Development and Finance Committee. The next item on our agenda is related to the proposed naming of the Westwood Building B. I'll turn to our president for discussion.
Yes, thank you. I will just start by stating that this recommendation is being advanced to the full commission so that we can benefit from your reaction and your thoughts. We know that the committee as a whole did not necessarily support this particular recommendation, but instead of waiting a whole another month and delaying, we wanted an opportunity to share some of the creative concepts that went behind advancing this particular name, as well as have an opportunity to hear from you all in terms of if the direction is headed in the right direction, if you have some other thoughts or other recommendations that we should be considering. But definitely wanted an opportunity to hear from the larger group so that either one, you support this and we advance it, or we have an opportunity to be informed with your feedback so that we could refine the recommendation that moves forward. I am going to turn it over to our Vice President of Public Affairs and Communications, Tia Blunt, for this presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, President Andrews, and good afternoon, commissioners. For the record, my name is Tia Blunt, Vice President of Public Affairs and Communications with HOC. I am coming before the commission today with hopes that you will join the staff's recommendation for the naming of the proposed Westwood Building B project, and at the very least, to give us recommendations. A little louder, can you guys hear me? All right. Is that better? Okay. All right. So in terms of the development project, the proposed development Building B is located across from the Laureate. This new transit-oriented development is literally one block from Shady Grove Metro and really offers a number of planned design features, including LEED, solar, universal design opportunities. It's backed and entitled by a proven market partner, and it is on track to move forward as planned. This project really offers us an opportunity to add 120 additional affordable units within this mixed income, mixed use development. It's also an opportunity to influence the unit mix and programming, allowing for increased affordability. With this project being situated right in an established transit-oriented community. It also gives us access to some of those rich community amenities. Because we already have ownership of the Laureate, there's greater operational synergy, efficiency, and coordination with us selecting Bizzuto Management as our property manager. And also the Laureate, like Building B, will leverage the HPF for its construction. By way of profile, next slide, the resident profile is really similar to that of the Laureate. Given its co-location, it really is intended to have some of the same resident profile, a mix of professionals, families, couples, single parents, empty nesters, and lots of children. Those coming to this community are really seeking convenience, quality, value, an opportunity to really access nearby employment hubs, and really looking to activate attractive places to telework. Next slide. In terms of the neighborhood, this really is the construction of Building B, representing an opportunity to complete this neighborhood and offering a mix of townhomes, multifamily built properties, retail spaces for shopping, access to metro, bus lines, etc. And it offers convenient locations to the Grove, downtown Crown, Rockville Town Center, and more. Next slide. Now, the building itself, very, very attractive, really completes, and it truly is the culmination of the West Side neighborhood itself, and it really activates the circle. And so if you see that picture in the upper left-hand corner, that really is the completion of the culmination of that circle. And we're really hoping that there will offer a really great amenity space that the community can use. And again, there's some thinking around what that might be, but there's a real opportunity to leverage this space for community good. But what's really exciting is the opportunity to see how some of the flowing amenity spaces might be integrated into our brand strategy, Window to Wonder. And in this picture, it starts to allude to some of that. You see some of the flowing amenity spaces, both inside and out. You start to see some of the tactile shapes, textures, colors. You start to see spaces that connect and integrate. You see a photo down in the bottom of the possibility of a maker space. Next slide. And that really is a segue into our brand strategy, Window to Wonder, right? This notion of Window to Wonder is really the neighborhood being fully realized, an engaging environment beyond convenience. It's the building that integrates the civic and outdoor amenities with the apartment lifestyle for inspiration and enrichment, and the resident really desiring an apartment that offers space to grow and aspiration to meet. And so these next pictures here really is really sort of a mood board that gives you some concepts of some of the interior, exterior, color palettes, etc. Again, we love the shape of the circle because it gives us a sense of completion. It's got some great textures, again, colors. Next slide. I like the photo here of the bird nest, the swinging bird nest. You get some samples of murals, walkways, etc. So it gives you a sense that the designers are really thinking about how they integrate this Window to Wonder into the interior and exterior. Next slide. This is just a recap of our naming guidelines as we start to explore what some of those names might include. We are looking for a name that has a strong positive image that stands the test of time, one that has appropriate regard for the facility's location, geography, and history, one that might commemorate people, places, or events that are of continued importance to the town, region, state, or the nation. If and when possible, one that recognizes outstanding accomplishments or contributions from an individual. And if and when we select an individual, one that considers the quality of that contribution along with the length of service. Next slide. As it relates to the local history, Montgomery County is really an area that has primarily been farming region, and it was really an area that exploded over time and seen a lot of changes through Civil War, World War II, the growth in the federal government, etc. But the common theme being community preservation and culture. And really, the opening of the Shady Grove Metro Station, creating a ripe opportunity for just explosive growth in that area. Next slide. And this is just a map that kind of shows this placement of this community next to Rock Creek, the Durwood B&O Station, historic Durwood, which is sort of the location of our service center, and HOC Service Center in Durwood, proximity to Maryland 200, the Intercounty Connector, I-270, and so much more. It really is prime real estate. Next slide. So we really, our team really did do some digging, and I know that when we brought this before the commission, they wanted to see, the committee, they really wanted to see where the connection was drawn between the inspiration in these individuals. And given the location's history, its geography, its the plan development itself, the community benefits, the amenities, et cetera, we really looked at a number of factors, including these themes that you see here represented: education, exploration, and invention, as well as the individuals themselves, these influential individuals from Maryland, and when applicable, Montgomery County, to help shape the inspiration from the past. Education was inspired by Nina Hammond Clark. She's an author, activist, and a historian. And this individual really serves as a muse, one whom we draw inspiration. She was a mentor we look to for aspiration. For exploration, we're inspired by Matthew Henson. He was the first Black member of the Explorer Club. This individual offers concepts of sheer splendor when you're beholding the world around you as you explore, travel, knowledge, understanding. And this last concept of invention, ingenuity, was really inspired by Valerie Thompson. She's a physicist, inventor, and a NASA scientist who really looked at exploration and making and entrepreneurship. Next slide. And this is really a deeper dive into each of their bios, with a strong connection here to Ms. Clark, who was an author, activist, historian, a principal, and a teacher in Montgomery County Public Schools. In fact, she was in 1962 selected by the Board of Education as the first African-American teacher and specialist in reading and language arts in Montgomery County. In 1968, she was appointed principal of Aspen Hill Elementary in Rockville, becoming the second African-American woman and principal in integrated schools. And following her retirement, she went on to be a historian, author, lecturer, writer, contributor, and she still to this day does freelance writing. And what these beautiful stories, these individuals offer is really an opportunity to have their story live on, very much like the laureate, in that we can infuse their stories into a lot of the storytelling and programming in each of these developments, like offering book clubs and learning opportunities, salon series, speaker series, etc. Next slide. Matthew Henson, again, first Black explorer, first man on prairie expedition to reach the North Pole, born to the family of free Black sharecroppers in 1866. He received the most accolades for reaching the North Pole. It wasn't until 1937 that he was admitted to the first Black member of the Explorers Club, eventually receiving honors from President Truman and Eisenhower. And when he passed, he was ultimately reinterred at the Arlington Cemetery. So that was really interesting. And there's actually a state park in Montgomery County that's named in his honor. So that's another really interesting fact. And there's some thinking around, we might be able to do some guided trails and some archaeological lectures and things like that that might commemorate his legacy. Next slide. Next is Valerie Thomas, the invention aspiration here. And she was a physicist, inventor, and NASA scientist, born in Baltimore, graduated right at Morgan State. And she was one of two women in 1964 to graduate from the physics program there. She worked at NASA and she oversaw the creation of the Lancet program, the Landsat program, sorry. And she was pivotal in the pursuit of visual Earth from science, visualizing Earth from science. And so there's a really strong connection with women in STEM and ongoing work that can be done there. So that's a really tremendous opportunity. Next slide. So with that, we introduce the names. The first is the Muse, drawing back again to our educator, Miss Nina Clark, the Muse. Welcome to the Muse at Shady Grove. Next slide. The Muse really has Latin roots that tie to the word to think. It symbolizes the importance of arts and science and stories of the human experience. It connotes inspiration, consideration, curiosity, and wonder. The Muse is really not just about the future, but the opportunity for what's to come and the potential for what's in the future, for what's to come. And what can really happen as you continue to inspire and excite residents over time. This notion of, again, a window to wonder into the future. The Muse at Shady Grove really signals the culmination of this community. It really is inspiring the intent to build the civic anchor, whatever this civic anchor intends to be, whether a maker space or what have you. Again, it creates a real anchor point for people to gather, along with the public plazas, outdoor amenity spaces, again, fostering a rich environment for learning, creativity, engagement, etc. In terms of the importance of people, place, and events, this really is, the Muse represents the tradition of ingenuity and the diversity of which Montgomery County is really well known. And it commemorates the many individuals in Maryland who succeeded in their respective fields of expertise. And so like Miss Clark, who was well known, she really was an inspiration for those who came before her in education, and creates an opportunity for so many others to explore the world, particularly in this area. Next slide. The next is Endeavor. This was another name that was proposed. Endeavor. This department represents all that is that we to strive for and to succeed in. Endeavor. Next slide. This particular word invokes the triumph of empowerment, a sense of motivation to achieve an ambition. The thing that I really like about this one, although Muse is truly my favorite, this has a strong connection to Valerie Thomas, because she might argue that the name is inspired by the idea that discovery, ingenuity, and the utmost effort comes from the turning of one's idea into great results. And she was really a testament to working on a number of projects that came to fruition while she worked at NASA. With regard to the facility's location, geography, and history, this particular project shows that the community can grow beyond its completion of a neighborhood, and really there's more to discover the world around us. Right there, not just in our own apartment, but you've got access to Metro, you can experience the world on a hands-on approach, and it really is a nod to a life well explored. And then as it relates to commemorating people, places, and events, this really does symbolize Maryland's rich history of individuals who really strove against adversity, who broke barriers, and who achieved great things. And this one has a strong tie to inventors, teachers, explorers, scientists, etc. And then last but not least, next slide, is Splendor. Welcome to Splendor at Shady Grove. Sometimes it's worth stopping to smell the roses. Living in this community opens residents to a world of opportunities for enrichment and enjoyment. Next slide. Splendor is from the Latin word for brilliance and brightness, and it represents abundance, elegance, and radiance. This is the idea of being present and making room for the opportunity to experience the wonder of the world around us and beyond, right? The experience of experiencing the fruit of one's labor. And with regard to the facility's location, geography, and history, that really is taking a look at the compilation of this project. It's a fulfilled community. It's this micro neighborhood that has this central roundabout that's punctuated by this community serving space, whatever that will be, and stepping back to say, wow, here's the pride of this completed project, very similar to how Henson may have felt when he stepped back and planted that first American flag at the North Pole. So this really is an interesting name. And then as it relates to commemorating places, people, or events, this really underlines Montgomery County's dedication to honoring the achievements of distinguished, groundbreaking, and community-driven individuals and their impact in the greater community. And so there's also room to show that future residents, offering them the opportunity for community enrichment. And so these were the three names. Last slide. We are proposing that the educator, principal, and legacy of Nina Clark had a really strong, the Muse had a really strong connection to both the brand strategy, Montgomery County, and really a really strong connection to the laureate, the poet laureate.
Thank you, Tia. One request I had of Tia to just help orient us all in terms of naming, right? This whole presentation had to do with branding and marketing and thinking about creating a space that people will be excited about for years to come. I was curious to know what are some of the current names that buildings are being entitled, right? There's been a shift from, you know, calling places the colonies or the so-and-so. What is the current trend? I did ask for some thoughts around that. I don't know if Tia, if it'd be helpful to give some context.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So I looked in DC and then I looked in Montgomery County because I wanted to be more local. In DC, we were looking at words like the Gantry, Revel, the Savoy, Alta 801. In Montgomery County, Escher, Saltaire, the Axis at Shady Grove, Boulevard, right? So really short, punchy, edgy, in some instances having a place or community base, in some instances a tie to something that felt centric. So
Thank you.
So what really wanted to get some feedback, thoughts, other ideas before we either went forward with this or went back to the group and got additional recommendations from the firm.
Well, when this was presented to the Development Plans Committee, we did not recommend necessarily a specific name. But we thought we did want to move it forward to the full commission because the enthusiasm which Tia showed to the committee and you heard today, that anybody who could try to make that connection between those three people and these names, I had to hear that. And and somehow she has woven those concepts of these three people into these names. And so with that, we just thought the amount of work that went into this, that we should at least have the opportunity to present this to you all. And if the commissioners feel like the Muse is the name that they want to have as for this building, then we can approve Resolution 24-34. So I'm opening up to the commissioners now for any thoughts that you all may have.
I like Commissioner Priest, I like the Muse, but my favorite was the Endeavor, because what I liked about the Endeavor is it has strong tides. It stands the test of time. Anything that can the test of time, I'm for that. I like that one, but I also like the Muse too. But my favorite is the Endeavor.
I'm with you, Linda. But so Splendor first thing that came to my mind was the sweetener, which isn't exactly right. Muse is fine. I think of a muse as a male artist painting his muse, which in history mostly was a male artist. And doesn't mean anyone else thinks that way either. So muse is fine, but I vote with Linda. And it would be great to tie it into, right, this amazing history. And with Roy, that the name doesn't jump out as, oh, now I know why it's called. And naturally, you don't understand why it's called Endeavor or Muse, but you could tie it in with stuff in the lobby maybe, or, you know. But I'm not going to jump up and down if everyone wants to do Muse.
I'm really old school and I think buildings have addresses as opposed to names. But if we're gonna have names, because I have had a lifelong problem with spelling, I would say the shorter and the easier to spell, the better.
So that's the Muse. Pamela, do you have any comments?
I would like to keep it as West Side. I'm not particularly fond of the names. I understand the reach to tie it to the people. I'm more biased to Montgomery County residents, but and don't really like naming them after people. So I would like to keep it as West Side.
Okay. Which was a different name than the ones three that were offered.
Yes, but it's the current name we've been using for a while. And I kind of like that.
Yeah, that was a part of a conversation we had when we talked about the name of the Hillendale. And we ended up calling it something at Hillendale,
Right.
which was going to be what it was. So this, whatever the name is, will be the name at West Side. So we're not losing the West Side reference, I don't think. Is there any action that anyone wants to put a motion forward to either affirm what the recommendation is from the staff, the Muse, or to put forth the recommendation to name it as Endeavor? Do you want it to be Endeavor or the Endeavor or whatever?
Whatever Endeavor.
Yeah. So do I have a motion to either advance this forward with approval of Resolution 2434 or to offer some alternative name?
I'm against offering another name because we'll be here for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to recommend?
You know, I don't want to cause a furor over a name. I like Endeavor, but Muse is fine too. Chelsea, tell us your base instinct. Don't look at Tia, just your thought.
Wow, the pressure,
I know,
right?
I know.
You know, I think honestly, I also like both names. I was trying to think about how we can play off of the laureate. And that's the one piece that didn't come out in our presentation, the Muse and the laureate and artsy and advancement and that kind of concept. But I am absolutely okay with either. So I'm going to punt it back to the commission.
Kayreen. Right. All right, Skipper.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, as I sat here, it's funny you're asking her around it. I started to say, let's take a vote in the room. Okay. And divide the house and see where we are.
Is it possible that we can table it and maybe take it back through committee, or I know we have other things to cover, but maybe instead of trying to just make a decision today, we think about additional names, or
Yeah, what's
poll
your
the staff?
timeframe for needing a
Yeah.
name?
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is there a sense of urgency with the name?
I think the name more really goes toward marketing.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
understood.
Well, both marketing and we have a design team who is going to take these words and try to create interior design that follows that as well. So, I mean, you see they try to incorporate kind of a window to wonder concept. the branding constructs and how you get to the full project is a very interesting process. So once we confirm what the name is, that will be echoed in how the design goes forward.
Well, I'm going to risk here, given the fact that two of our commissioners have supported the name of the endeavor, I'm going to make a motion that we, in fact, have a naming of this building as the Endeavor. Can I get a second? It's been probably moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carry it. The building will be called the Endeavor.
Next naming we need to hear.
Can you note that I did oppose? Thank you.
Let's not have this come too many times. Thank you very much. We'll now move our agenda to the more, from the sublime to the more. Hillendale Gateway. Approval of additional funding for legal services for Hillendale. I will turn to our president for discussion.
Yes, and commissioners, this is a housekeeping item that will be presented as well as subsequent. There's another housekeeping item. I need to take a very quick break. So I wanted to do this quick introduction and I will be right back. I'm going to turn it over to Catherine Hollister. Thank you.
Good afternoon, commissioners. For the record, my name is Catherine Hollister, Housing Acquisition Manager in the Real Estate Division. The first Hillendale Gateway item can be found on page 109 of your brief book. This item is regarding approval of additional legal services provided by Gallagher, Avelius & Jones, LLP. In October 2021, HOC solicited 3 firms within its legal pool for legal services and transactional work for Hillendale Gateway. Gallagher, Avelius & Jones, LLP, which I'll refer to as GEJ, provided the lowest bid, and HOC engaged GEJ for an amount not to exceed $200,000, which was within the president's awarding authority under HOC's procurement policy. On February 7th, 2024, the commission authorized additional legal services provided by GEJ in a total amount of $192,000. Commission approval was required because the additional services increased GEJ's total contract value beyond the president's awarding authority. It is anticipated that additional legal services in the amount of $233,000 are needed to close the Hillendale Gateway transactions, which would further increase GEJ's total contract amount beyond the president's awarding authority. The Hillendale Gateway approved development budget has sufficient funds to pay for the additional services needed to close the transaction. However, because GEJ's amended contract value would exceed the president's awarding authority, commission approval is required. Staff is requesting that the commission approve these additional legal services provided by GEJ. Resolution number 2435 can be found on page 112 of your brief book. Thank you for your consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
This matter was presented to the Development Finance Committee, and we did recommend forwarding it to the full commission for action. We supported the request for the increase, recognizing that Hillendale has been probably one of our most dynamic projects in terms of the intricacies of the site, the issues we're dealing with in terms of environmental changes we have made on financing and other things, that this has really produced a number of requirements for legal services over beyond what we originally contemplated. And so the committee felt very comfortable that, in fact, we wanted to recommend this to the full commission for approval. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 24-35.
Commissioner Byrd, so moved. Second.
Moved and seconded for approval resolution 2435. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. Carried unanimously. We'll move to the next item of business, which is again related to Hillendale. The approval of a single maturity date for the Housing Production Fund loan to Hillendale Gateway LLC. I'll turn it back to you.
I'll be presenting this item. And this item can be found on page 114 of your brief book. On January 11th, 2023, the commission approved the making of a $14.5 million loan to Hillendale Gateway LLC using housing production funds to fund early start work at the Hillendale Gateway development. This initial HPF loan was made on August 31st, 2023, with a maturity date of August 1st, 2028. On September 13th, 2023, the commission approved increasing the principal amount of the initial HPF loan by $20.5 million to a total of $35 million to fund the vertical construction of Hillendale Gateway. This HPF increase would be evidenced by an amended and reinstated HPF loan on the construction closing date and would result in 2 maturity dates. one for the initial 14.5 million and one for the $20.5 million increase. To ensure that the HPF loan does not have two separate maturity dates and instead has a 5-year term commencing on the construction closing date, staff recommends that Hillendale Gateway repay the initial HPF loan on or before the construction closing date, and that HOC issue a new loan from the HPF to Hillendale Gateway, an amount not to exceed 35 million. The resolution for this item can be found on page 117 of your brief book. Thank you for your consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? I make a motion to receive approval of 24-36 resolution. It's been moved by Commissioner Solomon, seconded by who? And probably moved and second to approve resolution 24-36. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. The last item coming before you from the Development Finance Committee is related to the Alexander House and the SHRAC, related to approval of maintenance responsibilities for the South County Regional Recreational and Aquatic Center. President Andrew.
Yes, thank you. As previously stated, this is a housekeeping matter related to making sure that we have properly memorialized who is responsible for the maintenance at the SCRAC. And because of the structure of our condominiums, we have to make sure that that is reflected in those documents. I'm going to turn it over to Zachary Marks, our Senior Vice President of Real Estate, to provide this material to you or explanation.
Thank you, President Andrews. For the record, Zachary Marks, Senior Vice President of Real Estate. So when the final design of both the Leggett and the SCRAC was reached, part of the operational scope of the properties technically sits on a very small southern portion of Alexander House, the property on which Alexander House sits. As President Andrews mentioned, because the arrangement between the SCRAC, Holy Cross, and the Leggett is a condominium structure, that condominium structure was extended across all parts of the property where operations took place. And once the lease for the county was finalized for the use of the SCRAC, that the terms of that lease had to be agreed to by every single entity involved in the whole. Both landowners had to basically approve that, so that the condominium could, the lease would apply to the entire condominium. And so when the lease was signed, the primary interests, the county and HOC and Acorn, which is the underlying landowner underneath the SCRAC and the Leggett, all gave their approvals for that lease to be signed. And so this is simply to do the same for Alexander House, which of course HOC is also the sole principal of in both. It's the sole principal in the development corporation. It's the managing member in the limited partnership, which is the tax credit portion of Alexander House. And so this is simply a pro forma approval. There are no additional responsibilities added on to Alexander House as an operational property by this. This is simply because the condo structure technically extends onto a small portion, southern portion of the Alexander House property. So what's before you today is simply approving the maintenance responsibilities, of which there are none that apply to Alexander House, but do apply to the condominium structure that is extending across that small southern piece of the Alexander House property. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the commissioners? The committee did recommend this forward to the full commission for approval. Can I get a motion to approve resolution 24-37? Properly moved. Have a second? Probably moving and second to approve resolution 24-37. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Is it 33 or 37?
37.
We have 33 on the screen.
Yes, I think that's a mistake because resolution 2033 was the single family mortgage lending.
It's 37. Okay, great. Sorry to interrupt.
So no problem.
Let's vote for vote.
Yeah, 24-37. Okay. It's been probably moved and seconded. All those approval signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. So ordered. There's no other committee business to come before the commission. Can I get a motion to recess the meeting in order to convene the Development Corporation meetings?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. We will now convene the Development Corporation meetings that are listed on the agenda. The development corporations are entities that are wholly controlled by HOC and own various properties. For each development corporation, the board of directors is comprised of the HOC commissioners, and the officers are the same as the officers of the commission. On April the 3rd, 2024, 5 development corporations met to approve various matters. The meeting convened today are for the purpose of approving the minutes from those meetings. Another development corporation is meeting to approve providing a written confirmation related to the South County Regional Recreational and Aquatic Center. I now call the meeting of the Alexander House Development Corporation to order. The item before the board is the approval of maintenance responsibilities for the South County Regional Recreational and Aquatic Center. I turn the presentation over to the staff.
Thank you. For the record, Senior Vice President of Real Estate, Zachary Marks. So having previously given permission for the establishment of the condominium units on his property, Alexander House is being asked to also approve the application of a new lease to that condo structure. The lease itself does not designate any further responsibility to the development corporation, but simply exists within the condo that applies to the South County Regional Recreation and Aquatic Center, and governs the county's responsibilities and rights for for the operation of that facility.
Like, this is the motion for Alexander Corporation, or the previous action we just approved.
Was for HOC.
Was
Yeah.
for the LP.
Right.
So is there a motion to approve resolution 24-001 AH?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. So ordered. With no further business to come before the corporation, this meeting is adjourned. I now call the meeting of the Berkeley Apartments Development Corporation to order. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. So ordered. With no further business to come before the corporation, this meeting is adjourned. I now call the meeting of the Oaks at Four Corners Development Corporation to order. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. With no further business to come before the corporation, this meeting is adjourned. I now call the meeting of the Paddington Square Development Corporation to order. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed,
Aye.
nay. So ordered. With no further business to come before the corporation, this meeting is adjourned. I now call the meeting of the Pooks Hill Development Corporation to order. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. With no further business to come before the corporation, this meeting is adjourned. I now call the meeting of the RAD 6 Development Corporation to order. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. With no further business to come before the corporation, this meeting is adjourned. This concludes the Development Corporation meetings. We will now reconvene HOC's regular monthly meeting. Pursuant to section 3-305B and D of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, I move to adopt the written closing statement dated May 8th, 2024, and to adjourn this open session to a closed session to discuss 3 topics. The first topic is 3 potential acquisition opportunities. This topic is being discussed in closed session to protect HOC's bargaining power. The statutory section that allows this matter to be closed is section 3-305B3. The second topic is the status of ongoing negotiation with the union and matters related to the negotiation. This matter is being discussed in closed session to protect the confidentiality of the negotiation. The statutory section that allows the item to be closed is section 3-305B9. The third topic is the confidential commercial and financial terms of lenders' proposed financing structures for Hillendale Gateway. This topic is being discussed in closed session to protect the confidentiality of such information. The statutory section that allows this discussion to be closed is section 3-305B13. If a member of the public that is watching this meeting in real time on YouTube wishes to object to the closed meeting, please comment in the YouTube chat box or contact HOC's General Counsel. Instructions can be found in the Open Meetings Act objection procedures, which is posted on HOC's website. Do I have a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. Our regular meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.